Heartbreak at the bank, fellas. Vikings fall to the Chargers 28-24. They fall to 0-3 on the season. We're here to break it all down with another Minnesota Vikings postcast right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. We got the full crew here. Myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's Sam Ekstrom. Go follow him on X, at Sam Ekstrom. Luke Braun, host of Locked On Vikings each and every day on X, at Luke Braun NFL, and Ron Johnson, of course, who joined us yesterday on the Gophers postcast last night to vent about that tough loss to Northwestern. He's on X at 3Ron Johnson, host of the Ron Johnson Show right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. We'll wait for some more people to jump into the live feed as we discuss this Vikings 28-24 loss to the Chargers. Quick reminder, though, before we get started this episode, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Also, quick reminder to subscribe to the show channel if you haven't already. We got all the content you can handle going on right now. Twins, Vikings, Gophers, soon to be Wild and Timberwolves coverage as well, each and every day, all right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Okay, fellas, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this one. Vikings lose their third straight game, start the season 0-3. I know there's a ton to unpack here because it was an absolutely just wild game, even wilder finish, like we knew it would be. Some insane stats, by the way, all the way around by both teams. Kirk Cousins, 367, 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 interceptions, not really his fault at the end of the game to ice things off the hands of TJ Hawkinson. JJ, 7 catches, $149. Keenan Allen, what are you doing, bro? Game of your life, 18 catches, 215, and a passing touchdown, because why not? You're playing the Vikings. Why not? Ron, let's start with you, though. I think the A topic coming in this week was always going to be, hey, I know they're 0-2, but this team's actually doing some things that look a lot better than the record might suggest. Just clean up the turnovers, man. Tighten things up. 6 turnovers in 2 games. Tying the old Vikings record, I think, going back to 05, I believe. So go figure that. But that was the topic of discussion all week. Give yourself a chance. Stop shooting yourself in the foot. And let's see what happens here. 2 turnovers today. They lose the battle by 1, but they give themselves at least a chance. But is it same story, different day kind of feeling right now after a loss?
I mean, it feels like it because if you look at the Alexander Madison fumble, that's a fumble. Like the blue beanbag was thrown down. His momentum was not actually stopped when the ball was fumbled. He was still kind of fighting. It was simultaneous. And so, in my opinion, I think I saw Sam X that out. I don't even know what we're calling that anymore. But he posted that. That's similar to last year's Colts game where there were 2 stripped fumbles that should have been touchdowns, and they were called back by Chandon Sullivan. And so Alexander Madison's lucky that one was considered like dead. You got TJ Hawkinson with the fumble, and then the Kirk Cousins interception at the end, and even the Caleb Evans. I mean, you can't call that a turnover, but that's just a horrible opportunity where if he just knocks the ball downward and doesn't try to like fight for their, I don't even know if you can call that like a drop, but you could. I mean, he's an NFL player. It was a tough catch. Even a receiver, that's a tough catch, diving like that, going horizontal. But it's just bad luck. Like the fact that ball doesn't get knocked down, the fact that he doesn't pick it off. And then not only is it a catch, but it's a touchdown. That's just bad luck. And so the Vikings now 0-3. There's only been one team that's gone 0-4 that's ever made the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure that was the Chargers in like 92 or 94. So they're headed towards some tough, and no team has ever gone 0-5 and made the playoffs. Not saying that we want to try that because we like to make history. I mean, we got the Minneapolis Miracle, we got some other things, but let's not try to create new history. It's bad enough to go to 4 Super Bowls back in the day and not win any. I mean, there's just so much you can say about this game, but at the end of the day, the ball just didn't bounce the Vikings' way, and they had a chance to win this game. I think it comes down to execution at the very end of the game. I blame Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell should have clocked the ball, given Kirk Cousins time to get and reset and say, here's what we could do. I understand the thought of, well, let's not let the offense, or defense get set. Screw that. Call a timeout, or spike the ball. This is the play for your life. And you go out there and do that for an interception. So
I don't even know about that. You threw a touchdown. It was like a tip drill for 3 different guys. You threw a touchdown on that play.
Yeah, if it works, we're singing a different tune, obviously. But yeah,
True.
there was a lot of questions going on, a lot of finger pointing saying, wait, you at least got to give yourself 3 shots here if you can't get up there and spike that
Yeah,
ball.
the timing was the issue. Like they didn't leave themselves enough time if they had to run 4 plays. I mean, they left themselves.
I think they could have snuck 4 in. The reason they're doing that is because
7 seconds after the
Chargers still had 3 timeouts. So 30 seconds is too much to leave for the Chargers. So they have to get that thing so that this game is ending on 0-0s with us having the ball. So I kind of get going no huddle there. Now I think they could have tightened that up. And I think if you're snapping with like 16 seconds instead of 12, then I think it's perfect. But I'm not going to beleaguer the point about clock management. I don't know, man. Catch the ball. I feel like that's all lame excuses for catch the freaking ball. Caleb, catch the ball. Madison, hold on to the ball. Catch the ball. Come on.
Yeah. To that point, what Luke's starting to kind of stem off on is Sam, 0-3 to start the season after a 13-win year last year, obviously. Yeah. Luck regression, or what are we calling this? Because as far as just the fumbles, for example, just specifically, holding on to the ball, they worked on the ball security all week, according to who was it, Tom Pelissero before the game, and they only lost one technically on paper, but that ball came out a lot today. What are you just seeing from last year to this year right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's all a big regression, right? And today there were 2 fumbles by Madison, one of which whistled early, and then the other one, his elbow was just barely down, but that's going to expedite Cam Akers getting involved down the road. TJ Hawkinson missing a ball at the goal line, then having another ripped out of his arms. That's pretty uncharacteristic. Common theme through all of it, bad protection. Kirk Cousins, I think, made the most of another really awful protection day. That's going to expedite Dalton Reisner coming in, but is it too little too late at 0-3? This is an absolute gut punch of a loss, an absolute gut punch with what you withstood with Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert and the opportunities you had. 2nd and goal from the 1. You've got CJ Ham, Josh Oliver, TJ Hawkinson, and Johnny Munt on the field, and you can't move anyone out of the way. CJ Ham looked like he blocked the wrong guy, and you lose yards, and you can't score from the 1. That is absolutely unacceptable. I'm pretty steamed up. That sucks.
Ron, this is a team that, the orientation, the identity of this team is clearly it's an offensive team. They should be able to put up 30 with the best offenses in the league as well and go toe-to-toe. The defense, though, obviously going through some growing pains right now. Boy, sending a lot of heat right now by Brian Flores. Having a tough time getting home once in a while as well. But just how, broad overview, how would you look at this team as far as the things they need to clean up now moving forward going into Carolina next week?
I'm not going to lie. Brandon Staley's defense, like we've talked about the struggles with the Chargers defense, and it hasn't been great for a defensive head coach. He struggled. Vice versa, this was the game that everybody assumed Brian Flores could take advantage of. But what Brandon Staley's offense did, they took advantage of where they knew, which is whenever they go like heavy blitz, heavy rush, they have to play some type of like high safety look. And they were killing the corner routes, like the over routes and the corner routes, they were killing. So the minute you miss Justin Herbert, if he's able to climb in the pocket and just get 1 or 2 steps free, it's every time there was a guy wide open. And to me, that was just unacceptable. I don't know if they have the personnel to go more man. I mean, we have so many safeties on this roster, so many corners. I don't understand why they're like, if you're going to lose in man coverage. Like, you guys all get paid to run and chase guys. Chase guys knowing you only have to chase a guy for about 4 seconds, because if you're sticky, as they call it, if you're sticking to Keenan Allen, when Justin Herbert steps up, he's not able to make that throw where Keenan Allen has to back shoulder that and still walk out and, do the Spider-Man thing, looking at his hands like, man, my hands are so sticky. If you think about the other one, the deep one to the other side to the corner, I forgot who was trying to contest that one. But again, a drop in the bucket. It was just so many opportunities for Brian Flores. But it just feels like boom or bust. Like, he can't get home with just 4. And that's the problem with this defense. And then it's like, well, if you can't get home with 4, do you just try to get coverage sacks? And do you just try to put 8 guys in the coverage and say, look, I'm just going to try to cover space, cover guys, and then hope that my 3 guys can get home eventually and let a guy with like Justin Herbert beat us with his legs? I just don't know the answer, because there was way too many like, oh, he almost had him and he missed him. Oh, he's right there and then he misses him. So I don't really know the answer, because they're getting there. But like Josh Metellus, I saw him on a blitz. Harrison Smith, like he was about to blitz, and then Justin Herbert figured it out. He had to go back and play middle of the field, and then it actually worked out where he played middle of the field. And they were able to get a stop, but it's just too much of that. It's too much like, I know what you're doing, Brian Flores. Like I think coaches have figured that out in the first 3 weeks. Like you're gonna come hard, and you only have 4 guys back here, so I just need to figure out how to like just hold you up for a second and make you miss. And if my quarterback's smart enough to step up in the pocket, we're going to kill you. And that's what you saw out of Keenan Allen today.
We need to win more one-on-ones.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the line. We need to win more one-on-ones on the line, right? Like we need guys to be able to get in the backfield. The reason that, Josh Metellus can't get him down is because he has a ton of room to step up in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Pass rush is not something that one person can do. It has to be a lot of people getting to where they're supposed to be and staying where they're supposed to be. And that gives Justin Herbert the time. But what I'll say is this is like the exact blueprint for how to beat Brian Flores, right? If you have a quarterback that can move around and rescue a pocket, if you have wide receivers that can consistently win off the release in man coverage, and all of that executes really, really quickly so that there isn't a ton of time for all of these blitzes to get home and you can throw over the blitzes. If you can do all those 3 things, you can beat Brian Flores. I don't like Carolina can't do those 3 things, Like there are teams that cannot do, like Chicago can't do those 3 things. We play them twice. So I don't think that this is something that every team can come in and say, oh, we'll just do what the Chargers did. Because it takes, like, you got to have Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen,
Right.
They indiscriminately, unabashedly blitz the heck out of Herbert, who is in his 3 years in the league, has been the number 1 quarterback against pressure in the league.
They're doing it for everybody. This is where we live.
Right. This is Brian Flores is going to live and die with this. I'm not sure I totally agree with that very rigid approach. Like the drive before halftime, where again, this happened against the Bucs, where you have a chance to kind of go into the halftime with the lead, and they gave up such an easy drive to get down the field, blitzing the whole time. They gave up 28 points in this game, and it was a lot more of the same, where the blitzes aren't turning into pressures. They hit Justin Herbert 5 times. It's not that great. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins, this is not the wrong number. This is what I'm seeing on the box score. This is real. 13 quarterback hits on Kirk Cousins. He was already the most hit quarterback in the league coming in, and now 24 quarterback hits through 3 games. That's a big discrepancy in which of those 2 quarterbacks was feeling the heat more. And Herbert, to his credit, man, he's elusive. He's really, really fun to watch. It was really a treat to watch him play. Unfortunately, had to come against the Vikings.
Ron, just stemming off that, what Sam kind of pointed out, hey, they got the running game going finally. 20 carries for Madison, 93 yards, long of 15. Ty Chandler, 3 rushes, 27 yards, 12 yards on a long run as well. But I think a lot of the frustration for the fans right now is stemming from the fact that this offensive line, you brought back the same 5 guys when what Sam just pointed out, Kirk Cousins was already hit the most of any quarterback last year. Now you bring in Dalton Reisner. I guess just knee-jerk reaction now. Do you expect him to start right away? Who do you expect him to fill in for? Is it as easy as just plug him in at right guard for Ed Ingram? And how do you justify, I guess, bringing back the same 5 guys if you knew it didn't work to some degree last year?
You don't justify it. I mean, honestly, you don't. Like, I think Dalton Reisner should have been an earlier grab. I heard more of his presser and some of the other comments now coming out saying like his tweet about the airport wasn't like a legit thing. He was just trying to drum up some interest from NFL GMs. And I think he joked about it, but like, yeah, there's got to be some GMs on Twitter, right? And so, yeah, there's probably are some people within the organizations across all the teams that are saying, hey, Reisner is on the move. Like, he's going to visit somebody else. Do we really need him? If we do, let's make an offer. And the Vikings, like, jumped on it. But why not jump on it sooner? Why not get him in sooner? Same with the whole Kareem Hunt thing. Like, why not go get it sooner if you don't feel like you have all the pieces you need? And so, yes, it's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Or as long as was it fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like, this is the second time now they've seen this offense line. And I don't think it's the tackles, but I think that interior, there's some huge question marks there. And I'm not even thinking more of Ezra Cleveland. I'm going with, it was Bradbury and what's his name, Ingram. And now you have Austin Schlottman and Ingram. Like, you know what you're getting out of these guys. Kirk Cousins doesn't have time to step into the pocket. They are getting demolished by some of these interior guys, and teams are just watching film saying, look, we don't need the blitz. Like, we can go home, we can get home with 4. And that's why when Kirk is getting blitzed, there's not a lot of open receivers because they're in coverage, and the DBs are not having to be like blitzers. The linebackers are not having to be blitzers. They're able to drop back, and that's the fundamental issues with this Vikings offensive line. And yeah, like I don't think you can justify it and what's going on with this. And for Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell to like this late in the game feel like, okay, yeah, we do need to get Dalton Risner. Now it's like, how long does it take to get him? And the fact that you're 0-3 now, like at what point is it worth it? Like, are we like, if we know we're not going to the playoffs, what do you do? Do you call the Arizona Cardinals and try to say like, hey, can we get that early pick? Like, I mean, there's so many question marks now that everybody's going to have for this team, because now you're going into a week of press conferences talking about, okay, you're 0-3 now. So now what? What if you go 0-4? What if you go 0-5? Like, you know, it starts to like at some point the question marks are going to come. And yes, Luke, I think you hit that nail on the head with, I don't know if this is reverse luck, but this is like, you know, hey, you used up every leaf on that clover, and now you're just out here like with bad luck. I don't know what it is. There's a rain cloud following this team or something. Because even that scary moment of Hawkinson going out, Jefferson going out,
Oof.
it was like, oh my God. Like if both of these guys can't go, like we are just literally asking for it. And so, yeah.
Luke, just from a schematic approach, because I know you watch a ton of film, watch all the X's and O's, just on that 4th and 6, for example, the Osborne touchdown, which, by the way, anybody else have a heart attack when Osborne reached that ball over the pylon and exploded out of his hands into the stands? It was like, oh my gosh.
Well, not again.
You know, 4th and 6, they convert, obviously, huge splash play, score a touchdown. They left C.J. Ham in the block, max protection. Think they probably only had 2, maybe 3 guys out on routes. Is it that simple sometimes, simplifying things to help Kirk, especially in those 3rd and long situations? Again, going back to the running game, kind of tying into this, that's been a huge focus after 2 weeks. Not a lot going those first 2 games, little bit of something maybe to glean on this week, but they were dead last in rushing entering the week. They trade for Cam Akers. Obviously, he was inactive. On top of that, again, like Ron said, just the overall blocking, it's just struggled, specifically the interior. They bring in Reisner. Schlottman gets the nod over Bradbury today. Numerous injuries as well. Just what's your thoughts on the running game and the protection, how they can fix things here moving forward?
I think for me, the biggest thing is stuff's got to go faster. Just execution on the whole just has to go a little bit faster. Everything is just a beat long. And whether that's Kirk holding the ball, whether that's routes, just long developing route concepts, it makes the offensive line's job harder. And that's not what we want to do with these guys. We don't want to put the whole thing in their lap, right? That's the big thing for me. But I think, honestly, that's more of a play-to-play question. Yeah, max protect can definitely help. The problem is you have less routes, right? So it gets easier to double Justin Jefferson and stuff. You can kind of do a half measure. You can have them chip. You can do like a delayed kind of outlet thing and sort of try to split the difference there. But I think when it comes to trying to keep Kirk Cousins upright, I think the best way to do that is going to be to get the ball out of his hands. Right now, the Vikings have their quick game is quick keepers, play action, and then, dump it off to Hawkinson and see if you can't get 4 or 5 yards. That's their quick kind of 1st and 10 rhythm play. And I think that is every team has their answer to that. When you're, the backside edge rusher and run action goes away from you, you go get the quarterback. Everybody does that now. So I think that's not a good way to keep Kirk Cousins upright and get the ball out of his hands quickly and keep him safe. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of speeding things up post snap and getting a little bit tighter in those executions can go a long way. Cause it's not, Cousins isn't getting hit, but a quarter of a second after he throws sometimes. Like you don't need a lot to get this thing to go a little bit better, but just sort of quickening things up and being a little bit okay with dinking and dunking it down the field 4 yards at a time instead of everything having to be like a 9-yard pass.
But let me say this, Luke, Braun, you're being nice. I'm going to say what you aren't trying to say. Max protect doesn't work because there's 4 guys rushing. There's only 4 guys rushing. So you should.
Yeah, they took a sack, 4-man rush versus 6. They took a sack today.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like if you max protect with 4 guys rushing and you're still getting pressured, you're still getting hit. Here's the problem. They rush 4. That means there's 7 back there covering. And if you go max, you're probably only putting 3 receivers out in the route. So that's 3 on 7. Granted, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the world, but that's just, you're asking for interceptions. You're asking for big hits. You're seeing TJ Hawkinson take hits because there's guys just waiting. Like, go ahead, throw it in front of us. We're just going to come up and hit you. Justin Jefferson, we're going to jam you with one guy. We're going to put another guy over the top because your offensive line can't protect you. So what needs to happen, and Luke, you were dead on, Braun, what needs to happen is quick. They need to go quick game and throw the defense off. Like, don't always think it needs to be a 15-yard route or a 20-yard route. Be like the Chargers were okay with Keenan Allen on shallows. Keenan Allen, boom, 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 quick out route. And just, hey, give me the 7 yards. If you're going to give me 7, I'll take 7. And sometimes Kirk Cousins' appetite is bigger than his actual stomach. Like, he wants these big plays because they're called. But then the secondary play or secondary throw, I don't feel like Kevin O'Connell's giving him a ton of opportunities of other guys. Like, I feel like everybody's either boom or bust. And then your drop off is like a Alexander Madison, who's kind of running almost sometimes to get covered. Like, he's not running to uncover, or he's not running. I felt like the Chargers offense had a ton of free runners, just like, hey, I'm open. Can you throw me the ball? Where the Vikings, it's like, man, Justin Jefferson ran a great route. Man, Jordan Addison's covered, but that was a great catch. Like, there were so many opportunities for Kirk. Also, Kirk's internal clock, like today he showed he's not quick. I don't know what his body trainer's doing, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's got to know what he is. Cause like that little, I can't remember when, but you probably remember this in your head. He kind of steps up and then tries to weave around the other way. And it was the one where they hit him in the leg and his knee hit the ground and he still tried to throw it. And it was down.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that was the worst footwork I've ever seen. Like, it wasn't quick at all. Like, in Kirk's mind, he's probably thinking he's like, ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. And he was more like, boom, do, 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 boom. It just wasn't quick. And so, no knock on Kirk. He's just not that. Like, he's not that. What he needs to be able to do is have like a clock to say, I just got to go. I can't weave and do all this. I got to go now. I got to put my full speed and go forward, because I feel like he is faster than some of these defensive linemen. But if he doesn't make a quick decision, he's going to get hit and sacked.
Sam, I want to touch on the schedule coming up here, what this whole thing looks like. First, quick reminder, this episode brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, no matter what, win or lose, when you throw down just $5. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on all the action. The app, it's so easy to use, and they got everything. Money lines, parlays, prop bets, you name it, they got it. FanDuel's got everything you need to bet on the entire NFL season. I love the Keenan Allen over 6.5 catches today. I don't want to brag about it. I would have cashed in on that pretty easily, like in the first quarter. Go check that out for yourself at FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon today. America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Sam. So either way, whether they won this one or lost this one, there was already some murmurs from a certain part of the fan group that said, you know what, the schedule's getting so tough coming up. This quarterback class, I'm already starting to watch some college football. It may be the best quarterback class I can literally ever remember. Now, obviously, nobody's tanking no matter how bad things get in the NFL. That just doesn't happen. Too many guys fighting for their jobs. We know that. But at what point do you start to look at this schedule coming up and think about maybe the draft class coming up, the potential thought of starting things over at quarterback, and, you know, obviously what would be a super disappointing season along with your quarterback becoming a free agent most likely? Are we close to that? I know it's a long season, but are we close to maybe some armchair quarterbacks watching some college football and saying, you know what, things aren't getting any easier when you look at the next 3-4 games on the schedule?
We are not close to the armchair quarterbacks looking at college quarterbacks. We are at that point. The armchair quarterbacks have already arrived at looking for that next quarterback. Now, the people that matter are Kwesi, KOC, ownership, the key actors involved here being Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, your offensive leaders. They are playing at a level offensively that should be winning you football games, except for the turnovers. Obviously, the protection has been awful, but they have still done enough through the air and today, even on the ground, to score enough points to win a football game. And the margin of error has gone completely out the door with these turnovers. All the things that we said about this team at 0-2, how there were encouraging signs offensively, how the regression should be in their favor. All of that is still true at 0-3. The problem is that it's a short season, only 17 games, and you're running out of time. And your margin for error now in the season is all but washed up. I don't see how this team could have any type of concerted, intentional effort to go into tank mode. Like it would require such a drastic decision, such a full frontal admission that we are going this way. Because are you going to have the Kirk Cousins era end with him being a healthy scratch? Or are you going to invent an injury for a guy that never gets hurt? Like, how are you going to do that? This offense.
Hey, Brian Flores, I've got a suggestion for you.
Too soon.
Have you heard this before?
You're cool with that, right, Brian?
Okay,
I know. Look,
cool.
Here's the deal. I'm sick of the quitters in Vikings fandom. All right. I'm sick of hearing from them. If you want to quit because they're 0-3, if you want to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to look up Tankathon every morning, every Tuesday morning, see where our draft position is at and watch college football. Go do it. Quit telling us about it. I'm sick of it being of seeing in my Twitter mentions people be, it's over. I can't do this anymore. I'm done with the Vikings. No, you're not. Like, either you are or you aren't. Get the hell out of here then. Some people actually still want to watch football. So I'm super, super sick of hearing about people. It's the season's over. It's done. I can't do it anymore. I give up. I quit. Okay, be a quitter then. Go mow your lawns on Sundays. I'll tell you where the draft position is at on Tuesday mornings after Monday Night Football. And then you can shut the heck up and get out of my mentions forever. So the rest of us who want to actually enjoy football can enjoy it. Quitters and losers, I'm done with them.
Woo.
As you can tell, Luke Brown, he doesn't care that much. This is just like a little side gig for him.
He doesn't bleed.
He doesn't bleed. Ron, this was always supposed to be like the tough part of the schedule right out the gate at Philly, Thursday night, Chargers, then the Chiefs. So that we knew. Problem is when you lose a game you're supposed to win versus the Bucs, all of a sudden the pressure gets magnified so much more. Now you're sitting at 0-3. You got the Panthers on the road next week, Mahomes and the Chiefs, then at Soldier, then San Fran on Monday night. What's the realistic expectations now, knowing how they've played, knowing that they've been in all these games, but knowing the schedule just doesn't let up at all moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the realistic expectation at this point, like I said, if you go 0-4, there's only been one team since like 92 or 94, which was the Chargers, actually, that made the playoffs. There's been no teams at 0-5. And so before I get out of here, the expectation at this point is just to be in these games. Now, this might be one of the worst takes ever, and I'll live by it. But can you imagine if the Vikings go 4-13, but lose 11 one-score games?
Oh,
like, that's literally the reverse effect of what they've gone through. Like, if they were to lose 11 or even 14, like if they keep going, but just to lose 11 one-score games, because right now they've lost their third one-score game. That's crazy. Like, they've already lost 3 one-score games, where last year they won every single one of those. So I don't know. It might just be like a turn of bad luck where the ball's just not bouncing their way. But again, turnovers. If they don't have that interception, if they don't have that fumble by even the TJ Hawkinson fumble to start the game let doubt into everybody's head. Like, if he doesn't fumble that ball, they probably go score there. And it's a totally different atmosphere. It's a totally different mindset. Also, there's 7 points on the board, and they're even 3 in their favor versus the Chargers going down and scoring a touchdown and just making everybody sit on their hands for a couple quarters before they realize, like, oh, okay, the Vikings actually have a chance to win this now. It's just that. And third down, their third down offense,
bad.
They were bad. And at one point, I think they were like 0 for 8 or something like that on third down conversions. Even though they did gain a lot of first downs, because I did tweet that out or X that out, whatever. They got a lot of first downs, but they're getting them on first and second down. What is fundamentally wrong with third down? Or is it because they're not in third and manageable? I think that's a problem. Like, if they're not successful on first and second down, their third downs were not manageable. And that's where Kevin O'Connell has to maybe call a game where it's not like, all right, okay, I didn't get a run on first down. Now what should I do? Okay, let me throw it now because I have to get some yards back. Okay, wait, he missed that throw. Now we're 3rd and 10. It doesn't ever feel like it's like under control. It always feels like a fire drill or something. And so if they can get that under control a little bit more too, maybe they can run the table for, a good 5-6 games. If they go 6-3, I think we have a different feeling 9 weeks from now if they can go 6-3. But that's a tall task, and that's why I say I don't really know.
Yeah, good point. Last one, then we'll get out of here. Let's end with a glass half full kind of approach, leave the people with a little bit of optimism. Let's go around the horn here. Which player or two, as Ron jumps out, which player or two, guys, has surprised you in a good way so far on offense or defense? Just when you think about, man, we had so many months of our preseason expectations and predictions compared to what you're seeing right now. Small sample size, sure, but 3 games into the season. Which guy has surprised you?
Jordan Addison. I mean, I don't think there's an answer besides Jordan Addison. I can't glow about Madison too much. I can't glow about Chandler. Really, I mean, Addison's been the standout. He goes over the 49.5 yards. I touted that on Friday. They went to him a lot in the second half and a couple really close calls. And, there's so many what ifs about this fourth quarter. I mean, how about, a pass to Osborne off the fingertips, the second goal from the one, but also Jordan Addison with one right in his gut on the tipped ball that he just couldn't hang on to it. That's another what if that we're going to have. But Jordan Addison, very good. I loved the view on his one catch from behind the line of scrimmage where you see his first step off the line. He's full speed. I mean, the guy is next level speed. I know people weren't thrilled with his combine 40, but holy cow, this guy can run. That's got to be the offensive encouragement of the day.
Yeah, Luke, who you got? Who's impressed you so far this year through 3 games?
I wasn't too surprised. I love Jordan Addison. I'm not surprised at all. But I'm going to go Cam Bynum. He's flying all over the field. He's filling in really fast. And that's something that the Vikings have really, really needed against the run. They ended up, this was way worse against Philly, but they will often, just because of the way they space things out, they'll end up in moments where if that run bounces to the outside, it is the free safety, the deepest guy whose job it is to come, knife in and take that thing down. And that means you're going at a full steam, right? Full run. And you have to be able to make a sound tackle. And he's been really, really good at that and really quickly and there and in. It's seemingly assignment sound when it comes to coverage. And, I don't think he's been picked on in coverage or anything like that. And I also kind of want to shout out Caleb Evans. I know it's tough, catch that, right? And I know that's tough. And he got killed another time. I think it was Mike Williams that smoked him on another one. But it is starting to be the pattern where it's there's 1 or 2 of those a game and everything else is really sound. And what the Vikings are asking of those defensive backs because of how much they blitz is really, really immense. So I'm really happy with what Evans has done for a CB2 and for safety 2 in Cam Bynum. I think those guys have really taken a step and are coming into their own as actual viable starters.
No, I'm glad you mentioned both those guys. I had Bynum, just was kind of sticking out. I think a lot of people love to gloss over him between this new 3 safety package. Josh Metellus is going to be on the field a ton. A lot of people still quietly hoping Lewis Seen's going to steal some snaps as well. But Cam Bynum, man, just looks like a more polished player who really cleaned up some of the open field missed tackles and just has become a more sound football player, in my opinion. There's a reason he's been a starter now for 2 straight years. He's clearly earned that in the coach's eyes. And obviously they know a lot more about these guys and how they look on a day-to-day schedule than any of us. As we get out of here, maybe one more fun one here. What's one play that just sticks out to you? Or, you know what? Here's what I think about going into this game. This game was kind of the game of the week, right? Highest over-under, 55 points. Both teams 0-2, fighting for their livelihood. Definitely the hot topic all week.
What an under for the
unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable.
Vegas
under.
is sick, man. Vegas is too good. And then you had the individual storylines, like the return of Eric Kendricks. He didn't end up suiting up because of an injury. But I kept thinking about, you remember back to the 2020 year, the rookie of the year voting came down to Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson. A lot of people thought JJ kind of got robbed when he lost out by just a few votes, by the way, to Herbert, who some people thought, all right, he's just going to win it because he's a quarterback. Kind of crazy, though, to sit back and watch these 2 young studs, who we don't get to see the Chargers very often, but watch these 2 young studs on the field across from one another, knowing just how quickly they've cemented themselves as 2 fixtures in the NFL, isn't it? Can we just appreciate those 2 young studs for a second?
Yeah. Herbert was unreal. His arm angles, he does Mahomesian stuff with his arm angles. He was threading needles all day. His first 2 touchdown passes were millimeters away from being deflected. Super elusive in the pocket, rocket arm, really fun to watch. Let's just also mention, how grateful are we that a Justin Jefferson injury wasn't part of this postcast. It looks like, it was just a cramp, came back on the field, should be okay. Same with Hawkinson, but almost insult to injury in the final minute of this game. And how freaked out were you on the first replay when it was a little bit non-contact, bad step, lower body? How freaked out were you when you first saw that?
Oh, yeah. What's JJ's agent thinking, by the way? We should have. Why'd we penny pinch at the end? We should have got a deal done. So glad he's okay. And then Hawkinson gets the wind knocked out of him, but you don't know at the time, too. You're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs dude,
I thought he was concussed at first until they showed the replay and it didn't hit his head. I was like, oh, that's all right. 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Jonathan Bullard getting big there? We didn't even know if he was going to make the team. A couple big plays there in the trenches, including that
one of the only
one.
he's one of the only non-Danielle Hunter players on that defensive front that like made a play. And I think that's what has bugged me about the defense is that it is built to put people in position to go be playmakers, to go make it win a one-on-one and make a play, go get that cool replay, go get that cool highlight. I think it's different than the Zimmer world, which was everybody do your unglamorous job and it should work if everybody does it well, right? This is we have set this up. So you have one-on-one with a guard, go win. You're one-on-one with a receiver, go win, go make a play, go get that interception. And I think that was Bullard doing that on the 4th and short, which was really refreshing because I think we just haven't seen enough of that. Like, go do it. Come on, Dean Lowry, go make a play. Go beat someone.
Dean Lowry's on this team still?
Oh, my God. He was I mean, he's been a huge liability. And we saw more Jaquelin Roy, by the way. Jaquelin Roy in on all the goal line, like super running downs.
Andre
and the
Carter
Vikings did better against those. A lot of Andre Carter, which didn't turn out that well.
Yeah, no impact.
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, that was tough, man. That was tough. What do you say, guys? Should we get out of here? Unless, Sam, you got one play that's sticking out to you right now that just kind of, whether it's good or bad, a highlight or low light, that's just going to kind of chomp at the bit a little bit until we jump on the football party tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I mean, we might have to save all of it for the party. I do want to thank all the engagement in the comments. Unbelievable. Thank you for this turnout. But I mean, 3 things that I'm thinking about. One, how, I mean, the 2 unbelievable throws and runs after catch are overshadowed. The Osborne 4th and 6, and then the Jefferson go-ahead touchdown are not going to get their just due. And then how much would we have talked about the Brandon Staley decision on 4th and 1? That would have been the talk of the league. And we won't really get a chance to I think we should still.
We were rescued from that. Be honest. We were spared that discourse. Oh, let's talk about 4th and 1 discourse again.
I feel bad. I would have felt bad.
I've never heard anybody debate a 4th down decision by Brandon Staley before. So I really was looking forward to that
always
new and novel content concept from very creative
That's why
people.
It's not as progressively thought of, because it always backfires on these coaches that want to take gambles.
Yeah. For whatever it's worth, I think that was a fine decision. Go get a yard, right? A yard to win the game.
When you're averaging like 8 yards a play. Yeah.
That's kind of exactly why. Because the punish is you still get opportunities to go win the game by getting a tip drill interception. I think that's the one that's going to really stick with me. Like, catch the ball, tip it up again. It's like, can we get one freaking bounce? Come on. Herbert drops the ball, bounces right back into his lap. Keenan Allen drops the ball, bounces right back into his lap. We get an interception. It tips up directly into Josh Palmer, catches him in stride. Herbert couldn't have thrown it better. And then another one, like tip it up. Like, can we get one
magnets,
time
man.
where it
They must
bounces
have magnets,
line?
man. There's something goofy going on,
Didn't
guys.
that exact play happen with Laviska Shenault? 3 years ago against Jacksonville. Same spot
Freddie
on
Mitchell,
the field.
2004 playoffs. The Vikings they're cycling. They're going back through their paces.
Oh, unbelievable. So glad you guys could join us. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, following along on today's postcast. Another reminder, we're going to be here every single game from here on out the rest of the season. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That's a reminder as well. Go check out Luke Braun every day on the Locked On Vikings podcast. He's pumping out everything you need to know as the Vikings try to get their first win, guys, of the year in week 4 in Carolina versus the Panthers. That'll do it for us. Follow us on X at Luke_Spinman, at Sam Ekstrom, at Luke Braun NFL. Follow all our work over at the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network, including Vikings coverage every single day, Ron Johnson Show, the Roundtable with Reggie Wilson, and the football party with Luke Braun and Arif Hassan coming up tomorrow, by the way. Vikings move to 0-3 on the season now. Panthers on deck in Carolina. We'll see if Bryce Young is still on that injury report. He missed today's game, could be facing Andy Dalton for the 2nd straight year next Sunday. Another noon kickoff. That means back-to-back noon Kirk Cousins games before we got that 3:30 start in week 5 when they host the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 weeks from today. Sam Ekstrom, Luke Braun, Ron Johnson. I'm Luke Inman. 28-24 loss to the Chargers. We'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place, right here on Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Until then, signing out.